episode of Virtual Coffee. My name is Alexa Collier, and on this podcast, I chat with small business owners. They share their stories, perspectives, pieces of advice, and sometimes I'll do solo episodes where I share what's been on my mind and share accelerators for you. Now, with me today is Jenny. She is the founder and owner of Barkuterie Boards Miami. As the name suggests, Jenny makes and sells charcuterie boards for dogs. And her boards are so cute and are really a great holiday or birthday gift for your pup. Now, on this episode, we discussed balancing running your business with family, work, friends, hobbies, etc. And she also dove into how she started Barkuterie Boards Miami and why, and where she hopes to take the business. Now, before we hear from Jenny, I'd really appreciate if you could rate and review Virtual Coffee on the Apple Podcast app. It takes about 10 seconds to do so. You just open up that app, go to the show, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and hit those 5 stars. You can also follow us along on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It's all at Virtual Coffee Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I know you'll enjoy this episode with Jenny. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next week. Now let's hear from Jenny. Welcome, Jenny. Thank you so much for being on Virtual Coffee today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, I'm really looking forward to our conversation. So, to kick things off, introduce our audience to Barkuterie Boards, perhaps how this business came to be. Just give us a little glimpse into it.
Barkuterie Boards Miami came to be, and funny story, so I have to give you the whole rundown, right?
Yeah.
I just had a vision and it just came to me. For months I had been manifesting, I'd been thinking, I'd been, just trying to think of something because I do have a creative side, I have a crafty side. I am a property manager. So I deal with financials all day. It's not what I'm passionate about, it's what I know how to do. So I had been thinking and I was sitting in my office. I got hungry. Saw this charcuterie board, and funny enough, my sister-in-law does charcuterie boards. So if you ever need a charcuterie board or a grazing table, she does beautiful, beautiful things.
Awesome.
So I had been sitting there. I opened up my Pinterest and I saw this charcuterie board and I said, oh my God, this would be so neat if I could do this for Sandy, for dogs. So
Yeah.
Sandy is my logo. She's the face behind Barkuterie Boards Miami.
Nice.
And I said, this would be so neat. So I started looking up and I said, is this even a thing? I didn't even know that this was something that, would even intrigue people. It was just, so I started looking into it. And funny enough, there was two girls one that I found on Pinterest. So two girls in California.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to incorporate. So that's how the idea came, right?
Yeah.
Sitting there and it just came to me and I kind of started printing a whole bunch of things and ideas and writing it down right away. I'll tell you that within a matter of 30 minutes, literally 30 minutes in the afternoon of a Tuesday afternoon, I came up with the name.
Wow.
Went on Sunbiz and opened up a corporation. I did everything. I secured my Instagram. It was in a matter of 30 minutes. I got home and I told my husband, babe, I did this thing today. And he's like, what? Yeah, I did it and it's going to happen. I have this vision. All of a sudden, just everything started to fall into place. And that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Just one moment to the next.
That's awesome. No, I love that story of things just happening and a spark of inspiration and you just go. Yeah, within those 30 minutes, how did you know to do those things to start your business?
I just started Googling.
Okay.
This can be something. I didn't see it. So I have this thing where I see a lot of small business this, small business that. If you think small, if you think your business is small, your business is going to be small.
Right.
If you have a business, you are a business owner. And it can be as small as you want or as big as you want. So I said, I had a vision that this was huge, that there was going to be a demand for this, that this was going to be bigger than what I could ever imagine. And I just got on that computer and I just did it. It was
Yeah.
just, I didn't even know where to begin. I started Googling, and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope that I'm doing all of this the way, and everything just fell into place. I'm not going to, there weren't bumps along the road, right? We're just getting started and there are learning curves, just like everything in life.
Right.
But for the most part, in the beginning, it fell into place.
Yeah. No, that's really inspiring because I think it's very easy when you have an idea, whether it's a business, a podcast, whatever you want to start, it can be very daunting because you're thinking about all the things you have to do or all the things you don't know what to do. Whereas I like your approach of, yeah, and you just started, right? You're like,
Yes.
I might not know what a month looks like, but I know what I need to do right now. So like, let's do it and see where it goes.
Right now is the moment. So I'm very like that in everything that I do. You have to live in the moment. You have to just, if you feel it and you want it, you have to go with it. And there are always going to be obstacles in life. There's always going to be a hurdle to overcome. There's always going to be a mistake. There's always going to be a negative. There's always going to be that. But you have to learn to just go. That's what happened.
Yeah, no, agreed. Your approach seems like it came from a place of passion and excitement rather than I want 1,000 Instagram followers in a week or I want to sell this many by this day. Like it seems like it just came from the spark of inspiration, which is such a better place to come from always.
It's so funny you say that, Alexa, because I have a really big family. I have 3 of my own children and I have 2 stepchildren that live with us full time, and I'm very family oriented and we're very tight knit, and I have to balance my job, Barkuterie Miami, my family, and it's so not about that. I love that you said it came from a place of passion, from my heart, from my faith. It really does. I could care less about my followers on Instagram. I'm saying that in a way that, like, I don't care about how many followers I have. The product, the people that support Barkuterie, I can't even thank them enough, my supporters. It's been an amazing journey with them, and everything that everything that I've gotten from them. Every single board I put out, product I put it out and it's never the same. None of my boards are never the same. I really like to get to know your dog and what are we celebrating, and make it special for them. So it's definitely not about the followers, not about the events. I get invited to, I can't even tell you how many events I got invited to in December.
Yeah.
I am literally doing one event because I have had to make time. You have family, you have, your things, and it's just, it can't consume you, right? Passionate about something, you have to go with it. You have to have a balance though.
Totally agreed. And I'd love to dive into that balance a little bit more, right? Even if I'm not even sure balance is even the right word, right? Like, is there ever even a perfect balance? But that work and life and family and friends, do you have any advice for those who might be struggling right now balancing that, whether they're running their own business or working a corporate job? Because it gets very difficult.
It does get very difficult. Funny, my sister-in-law also runs a business doing the charcuterie, and just recently she had an issue with Instagram and they hacked her account, and it was a big and she was so upset and down in the dumps and discouraged, and it really is, it's just heartbreaking that these kind of exist. But I said to her, just last week I told her, maybe this is a way and a sign for you to just slow down a little bit, reset, because sometimes, and I'm telling you, in the beginning of opening up Barkuterie Miami, I lost sleep over this because your mind is just going 1,000 miles a minute, right? You have so many ideas, and you just have so many, it's just so many things that go into play, right, when you're opening up a business. And so my best advice would be, and it's what I told her, you have to slow down a little bit, put everything into perspective, write things down, and one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Tackle that one thing at a time, cross it off your list and
Yep.
move on to the next, and leave that one that you crossed off behind, done with, one thing at a time and, one day at a time. And yeah, you definitely have to balance. It's very hard. I work in the corporate and it's really hard, but you have to just, so what I do is in the morning before I take the kids to school, I do my postings on Instagram. I'll check my, I'll do things like that. And then I drop off the kids. Then I come back home. I start my day. I start to get ready. I take a lunch break, even though I don't leave my office.
Yeah.
I'm there, but I break. I
Right.
break from my job. I eat and I check my feeds again. And then at night, after I do my family and my dinner and my time with my kids, I dedicate it to Barkuterie. Then I dedicate some time to my husband, my poor husband.
That's funny.
But, you just have to schedule yourself and get organized. And definitely, I'm not saying don't make this a priority, because when you're passionate about something, you want to give it your all. But like everything in life, you have to have a balance.
Yeah, no, great pieces of advice there. I even like your tone and how you're speaking about it, because I think it's very easy to get caught up, especially with social media nowadays, of, oh my gosh, this person's posting 10 times a day and waking up at 5 a.m. and they just hit 10K on Instagram. Like, it's so easy to get caught up in that. Whereas your tone is, yeah, I do some in the morning and at night, and then I also have my job and my family, and that's how I dedicate my time. And I know it's not simple, but it sounds just very confident, and yeah, this is how I balance my time. And I appreciate that. I don't think we hear that tone often enough.
Thank you. It's really important, super important. And you have to have time for you too. As a person, you need to make time for you. You need that mental time. You need that peace, that tranquility. You need that time for you. And that is super important. Totally, people can get caught up in that world, and it's not easy. And you have one hiccup or one obstacle to overcome, it could be tormenting.
Right. Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. And exactly to your point, if you're in that constant state of stress, like you said, when that one big thing actually does come, it's like world ending, and it's very hard to handle. I want to dive into your boards that you sell. So, for our audience members listening, if they were to go to your website or your Instagram page, just give us an idea of these charcuterie boards that you sell. What do they look like? What are they about?
So I have a variety. I mentioned before, I love to customize them based on what you want, what you're doing, your pup, what we're celebrating. I have square wood boards. If you're local, I can totally do a perishable board where I add some fruit and cheeses. And so if you're local, I can get a little bit more creative. But if I have to ship, I love to try to, get as creative as I can and ship dry fruits. I always stick with the doggy treats. So I don't make my own treats. I love to work with different vendors, local or not. I'm a huge supporter. I love to stick with like grain-free, organic. I stick to a lot of sweet potato, pumpkin, healthier, on the healthier side, away from rawhide treats. I stay away from like any refined sugars. The popper butter is a popular item, so it's my only item that I make in my kitchen.
Oh, okay.
And it consists of roasted peanuts, honey, and a little bit of palm oil. So I make them in batches.
Okay.
Those are popular. So I have a variety. The letter boards, I have to say, the letter boards for the pups are very popular. People love them. And I love to pack them in with lots of fun treats and healthy treats for them. And again, we customize them. We can add happy birthday. We can add their names. We make it really fun. The package adorable too.
Yeah. Wow, that's so cute. This is an idea where I'm like, darn, I wish I thought of this. It's so cute.
I get that so much. And I actually, funny enough, there's another small business. They opened up after they saw me And they gave me a shout out on Instagram. I saw it. They were like, this is Barkuterie Miami was our inspiration to do this. I just feel like it's a business that could be so broad, right? But it's up to you as an individual to customize it to your, to put your touch on it. I like my boards very like the Miami. I like the pops of colors. I like the difference in what Miami represents, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah, no, it does seem fun. And what a great holiday gift idea for those with dogs and pups. That's such a good idea.
Fun. They love it. Let me tell
Yeah.
you, they are like, they love it.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah. That's awesome. And congratulations on being able to ship. I think that's a huge accomplishment. Where are you able to ship, just so our audience members know where your boundaries are?
United States right now. UK, I'm working on it. It's a little challenging right now. And the postal, even in the United States, it's a little backed up, but that was a big project to to overcome. But
Yep.
we're there. The treats get to you in perfect condition. Ran so many tests, and we've shipped everywhere. I want to say we've shipped to over 20 states already.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's gone far. So yeah, they do well shipping.
That's wonderful. And I love when businesses are able to figure out the shipping because then people outside your state can enjoy your products. So that's exciting.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have an Etsy shop. You can find the link in
Okay.
bio, and you can order through there. Anything that's on there, we can go ahead and ship it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yay, that's so exciting. Awesome. And is it just you on the Barkuterie Boards team right now?
It is.
How is that?
I'm telling you, it's a matter of finding that balance, right? Because that can be very overwhelming at times. I've had to slow down. So in the beginning, I did some market events every weekend. I had to stop that. It was too consuming. It was too much. So with just me right now, although, I get help here and there from my daughter, from my
Sure.
husband, everybody pitches in every now and then, but who puts these boards together is me, right?
Right.
So it is just me. It's hard. You just have to find that balance, but it's totally doable. And I have a big vision. Eventually I would love to franchise this,
Okay. Yeah.
but I have to brand it really well and kind of dive down and see exactly what works, what doesn't work, and what we can replicate that's, feasible. So
Right. That makes sense. Were there any steps along the way that were surprising to you? Either, oh, I didn't expect this. This is a challenge, or oh, this was easier than I thought. I know it's kind of a broad question, but any moments that pop into your mind that were either a challenge or easy to overcome and might help someone who's currently launching their own business?
I have this one girl and she's in Ohio. She
Mm.
reached out to Instagram and she kept asking me, what can I do? How did you source your vendors? How did you pick your boards? Because she wants to do something like this in her area. And I said to her, you just got to do your homework, get a paper and a pencil and write things down and just do some research, right? And then I started to think and I was like, my gosh, I have to help this girl a little bit more. Felt so bad. I kind of like just said, was like, your homework. Like she was. But, so I went back and I said, if you live in your area, I would say, so that was one of my challenges, finding local vendors to work with. And I had some challenges there. I had to drop 2 vendors. It didn't work out. And, that was, I think, my biggest hurdle, finding secure local vendors that didn't mind working with you, right? Because at the end of the day, these vendors are putting their product on your board that you're selling, right? So it's really important that you give these vendors that recognition that they deserve. They're the ones making these treats, right?
Mhm.
On my customized treats, right? It's really important that you give them that recognition, and through social media, that's how it happens. So I think that was my biggest challenge. And I overcame it by really acknowledging, because I was new to this, I didn't know how important it was to give them that recognition that they are on my boards. But it totally is. And it's just a matter of, you really have to dive down and see what, and be very clear and upfront with these local vendors. Listen, this is your product going on my board, and how I'm going to give you recognition. It's really important that you create those relationships with them, because you don't want them to feel like, oh, I'm just providing and you're just reselling. That's not the idea. The idea is, where one eats, all eats. So, you just have to give them that recognition. So that was my biggest challenge. And, you feel like you almost like feel a little disappointed at times. Like, you just have one of those days. It's part of those obstacles we spoke about earlier and overcoming them. And it's part of that growing. It's part of that learning process. So one day at a time, but my biggest thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think you hit on a really important piece of advice that applies to anyone, like whether you're running your own business or not, is when you go to someone with a question or an ask, you need to provide them value back, right? To your point, it's that two-way street. Everyone should, gain value from it. So this even goes to if you're working a corporate job and want to get coffee with like a potential new mentor. Well, what are you able to give back to them? It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but what value can you provide to them? And that's a thing I always have in my mind at my job is, when I'm asking something, what can I give in return? And that is such a great piece of advice. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Super important. I went back to that girl on Instagram and I told her, here's what you have to do, and maybe dive down and let me know how it goes. Just something you have to, you have, aside from being kind and doing something for someone else and a helping hand, you want to give support, and that's what it's all about.
That's wonderful. And it's nice to hear too that people are getting inspired by your business and perhaps spinning up something similar in their area, that you're not trying to shut them down. I can also understand if that's a little conflicting though as well. Like, oh, this is my idea, but also, they have every right to start something in their area. Any thoughts or perspectives there?
Yeah. I didn't see it like that.
Okay.
Although some people did see it like that.
Sure.
When I shared it, I was so happy that that they were inspired by me, my business. I was so happy. I felt so, I was like, wow, I was able to do this for someone. This is amazing. And then, I had other opinions and I was like, man, I didn't see it like that. I didn't. My initial thought was like, this is so awesome. I'm so for them, I hope it goes well. I don't know. I didn't see it like that when I read about it. My first thought was that I was so happy for them. And I see their products and I even want to critique them sometimes.
Yeah.
Give them other ideas. And then I'm like, wait, Jen, you got but it wasn't really my initial, thought. I wasn't the first one to come up with this idea. This idea actually started with someone in California, but her product is totally different from what I do. The same concept, right? Barkuterie is barkuterie, but different products on our boards. And my creativity on my boards is beyond what I've seen out there. I love to put out different things. I'm always looking for new, different ideas that aren't out there and people love it, because people like different. And we're very diverse, right?
Yeah.
So it's what works. So it's what works for me.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very healthy mindset. And I'm actually thinking now, I feel like that mindset is linked to like the confidence you have in your idea and your products, and you're able to have that immediate reaction of, oh, I'm so happy I was able to inspire someone else. And that's a very healthy mindset to have. And again, another great piece of advice for others perhaps just launching their own business is embrace that mindset, embrace that inspiration, and people being inspired from you is a good thing.
Absolutely. I love it.
No, that's wonderful. Looking to the future, I know you mentioned you might want to franchise Barkuterie Boards eventually, but any other future plans that you want to share, either for yourself personally or with the business? Is it just about expanding right now and going with the flow, or are there any specific future ideas you want to share?
So right now we have a couple new items, right, coming out that I'm kind of taking my time releasing just because I want to make sure it's the right time, and I am very go with the flow. So I don't want to just push out items that aren't going to work. It's a matter of us figuring out right now what's feasible, what works, what doesn't work, and future goals, like I said, I want to be able to franchise this. I want to be able, I have a sister in San Diego that I think this would totally thrive on
Yeah.
post over there. And that's my future, our future visions with it. Right now I haven't even released my Christmas items yet. And I'm hoping to do that this week. I was waiting
Okay.
items to come in. So, but yeah, we have a couple new exciting items. I'd have people, just tune in to our Instagram and stay tuned for those items to come up this week.
Excellent. No, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to those announcements.
Yeah.
And before I dive into the question I end all my episodes with, Jenny, is there anything that we didn't discuss that you wanted to mention, or other pieces of advice, other stories you wanted to share? Anything else top of mind?
The only other piece of advice I'd give to young kids, and I have to give a shout out to my marketing girl Mel. She has been amazing. Funny enough, she went to middle school with my oldest daughter Nicole,
Nice.
and she graduated recently from FIU with her marketing degree. And can I tell you that she has been just such a tremendous help? And I can tell you that when you're opening a business, for all the kids out there, even young, older,
Mhm.
stay-at-home moms, so much goes into opening up a business that you can use help. You know that saying, it takes a village. It really takes a village.
Yep.
Helping hand that you can get, marketing, any advice, I would just tell them, take everything in and then put out what you feel is best, and what will work. And don't forget to create that balance.
Excellent. Again, yeah, wonderful pieces of advice here. And yeah, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. So, the question I end all my episodes with is, in this moment, what is your proudest accomplishment? And it can be related to your business, or it can be something completely different. Just kind of that first thing that pops into your mind of your proudest accomplishment so far.
That's such a hard question.
I know.
I put some thought into this even before, and I said, man, I've had, because I have kids. So,
Right.
my God, I have so many proud moments of them.
Hmm.
Personally, I think that this has to be the day that I took that step and opened up my business on sunbiz.org. Was I was so excited and I was so proud of myself. I usually never do impulsive things like that, but with the idea I had and the vision that I had, I think that that was my proudest moment right then and there. All alone, I had a proud moment.
Congratulations on all the accomplishments you've had so far, with Barkuterie Boards and beyond. And it's lovely to hear that those 30 minutes or that day you really launched the business is you felt very proud, and that's just wonderful to hear. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to follow along your journey and seeing where you take the business.
Thank you so much, Alexa.
Yeah, no, of course. And before we sign off, where can people find you and Barkuterie Boards, social medias, website? Shout them
Yeah,
all out.
working on the website, social media, Instagram, it's at Barkuterie Miami or at Barkuterie Boards Miami. We have them both locked in. You can also find us on TikTok, TikTok at Barkuterie Miami.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jenny, for being on Virtual Coffee today. And as always, appreciated the conversation. And thank you for sharing your perspectives and advice.
Thank you so much for having me.